Okay, ready? We're going to start a new book today. It's called Redwall. This is one of, I don't know, maybe 15 books, but we're starting in the middle. Redwall is the name of an abbey. I don't know if you know what an abbey is, but an abbey is like a, a, a church place where people live. And in this story, I don't think there's any human people at all. It's all animals, and there's good guys and there's bad guys. And the good guys live within the Abbey Redwall. I mean, there's people outside, obviously. So, for example, the good guys are mice, bad guys are snakes and rats. But not just mice live at Redwall. So, all kinds of animals that have found safety there. And an abbey used to grow its own food. So part of it, and they had a big wall around it for safety. Okay, so you would have gardens inside the wall and you'd have gardens outside the wall. So this is the story of Redwall and good guys and bad guys. Okay, and here's a map that's in the inside cover. Here you go. So it starts out with a poem. They have a big gathering place inside the abbey called the Great Hall. And a lot of times people would eat there. It's like a big school auditorium. And there's a big tapestry, which is a very fancy piece of fabric that has a story woven into it and pictures woven into it. And there's words on a plaque underneath the tapestry. And here's what the words say. Who says that I am dead knows nothing at all. I am, that is, two mice within Redwall. The warrior sleeps twixt hall and cavern hole. I am, that is. Take on my mighty role. Look for the sword in moonlight streaming forth at night when day's first hour reflects the north. From o'er the threshold seek, and you will see. I am, that is, my sword will wield for me. So, mysterious secret in rhyme. And here's the intro to the book. Now, this book is in 3 parts, but here's the intro. It was the start of the summer of the late rose. Mossflower country shimmered gently in a peaceful haze, bathing delicately at each dew-laden dawn, blossoming through high sunny noontides, languishing in each crimson-tinted twilight that heralded the soft darkness of June nights. Redwall stood 4 square, that means 4 sides, along the marches of the old south border, flanked on 2 sides by mossflower woods, shaded depths. So on 2 sides there's woods. The other half of the abbey overlooked undulating sweeps of meadowland, its ancient gate facing the long dusty road on the western perimeter. From above, it resembled some fabulous dusky jewel fallen between a green mantle of light silk and dark velvet. The first mice had built the abbey of red sandstone quarried from pits many miles away in the northeast. The abbey building was covered across its south face by that type of ivy known as Virginia creeper. The onset of autumn would turn the leaves into a cape of fiery hue, thus adding further glory to the name and legend of Redwall Abbey. So in the fall, when the leaves turn, That whole wall that has the ivy over it turns red, as well as the stones of the abbey wall being red. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 1 of Book 1. Matthias cut a comical little figure as he wobbled his way along the cloisters, with his large sandals flip-flopping and his tail peeping out from beneath the baggy folds of an oversized novice's habit. He paused to gaze upwards at the cloudless blue sky and tripped over the enormous sandals. His shoes are too big. Hazelnuts scattered across the grass from the rush basket he was carrying. Unable to stop, he went tumbling, cowl over tail. Bump! The young mouse squeaked in dismay. He rubbed tenderly at his damp, snub nose, while slowly taking stock of where he had landed. Directly at the feet of Abbot Mortimer. So this is the priest that's in charge of the abbey, and he fell and lost all of his basket. Immediately, Matthias scrambled about on all fours, hastily trying to stuff nuts back into the basket as he muttered clumsy apologies, avoiding the stern gaze of his elder. Sorry, Father Abbot, I tripped. You see, trod on my Father Abbot. Oh dear, I mean. The Father Abbot blinked solemnly over the top of his glasses. Matthias again. What a young buffoon of a mouse. Only the other day he had singed old brother Methuselah's whiskers while lighting candles. The elder's stern expression softened. He watched the little novice rolling about on the grass, grappling with large armfuls of the smooth hazelnuts which constantly seemed to escape his grasp. Shaking his old gray head, yet trying to hide a smile, Abbot Mortimer bent and helped to gather up the fallen nuts. "Oh, Matthias, Matthias, my son," he said wearily, "when will you learn to take life a little slower, to walk with dignity and humility? How can you ever hope to be accepted as a mouse of Redwall when you are always dashing about, grinning from whisker to tail like a mad rabbit?" Matthias tossed the last of the hazelnuts into the basket and stood awkwardly shuffling his large sandals in the grass. How could he say aloud what was in his heart? The abbot put his paw around the young mouse's shoulders, sensing his secret yearnings, for he had ruled Redwall wisely over a great number of years and gained much experience about mouse life. He smiled down at his young charge and spoke kindly to him. "Come with me, Matthias. It's time we talked together." A curious thrush, that's a bird, perched in a gnarled pear tree, watched the two figures make their way at a sedate pace in the direction of Great Hall, one clad in the dark greeny brown of the order, the other garbed in a lighter green of a novice. They conversed earnestly in low tones. Thinking what a clever bird he was, the thrush swooped down on the basket that had been left behind. Twisters! The basket contained only hard nuts, locked tight beneath their shells. Feigning lack of interest, lest any bird be witness to his silly mistake, he began jauntily whistling a few bars of his melodious summer song, strolling nonchalantly over to the cloister walls in search of snails. So he thought there was food, and he's embarrassed, so he's pretending that he knew all along. It was cool inside the great hall. Sunlight um, flooded down in slanting rainbow-hued shafts from the high, narrow stained-glass windows. A million-colored dust motes danced and swirled as the two mice trod the ancient stone floor. The Father Abbot halted in front of the wall, on which hung a long tapestry. This was the pride and joy of Redwall. The oldest part had been woven by the founders of the abbey, but each successive generation had added to it. Thus the tapestry was not only a priceless treasure, it was also a magnificent chronicle of early Redwall history. Remember, they're weaving pictures into cloth. So it's a big picture book that tells their story. The abbot studied the wonderment in Matthias's eyes as he asked him a question, the answer to which the wise mouse already knew. "What are you looking at, my son?" Matthias pointed to the figure woven into the tapestry. It was a heroic-looking mouse with a fearless smile on his handsome face. Clad in armor, he leaned casually on an impressive sword, while behind him foxes, wildcats, and vermin fled away in terror. The young mouse gazed in admiration. "Oh, Father Abbot," he sighed, "if only I could be like Martin the warrior. He was the bravest, most courageous mouse that ever lived." The abbot sat down slowly on the cool stone floor, resting his back against the wall. "Listen to what I say, Matthias. You have been like a son to me ever since you first came to our gates as an orphaned woodland mouse, begging to be taken in. Come, sit by me and I will try to explain to you what our order is all about. We are mice of peace. Oh, I know that Martin was a warrior mouse, but those were wild days when strength was needed, the strength of a champion such as Martin. He arrived here in the deep winter when the founders were under attack from many foxes, vermin, and a great wildcat. So fierce a fighter was Martin that he faced the enemy single-pawed, driving them mercilessly far from Mossflower. During the rout, Martin fought a great battle against overwhelming odds. He emerged victorious after slaying the wildcat with his ancient sword, which became famous throughout the land. But in the last bloody combat, Martin was seriously wounded. He lay injured in the snow until the mice found him. They brought him back to the abbey and cared for his hurts until he regained his strength. Then something seemed to come over him. He was transformed by what could only be called a mouse miracle. Martin forsook the way of the warrior and hung up his sword. That was when our order found its true vocation. All the mice took a solemn vow never to harm another living creature unless it was an enemy that sought to harm our order by violence. They vowed to heal the sick, care for the injured, and give aid to the wretched and impoverished. So it was written, and so it has been throughout all the ages of mousekind since. Today, we are a deeply honored and highly respected society. Anywhere we go, even far beyond Mouseflower, we are treated with courtesy by all creatures. Even predators will not harm a mouse who wears the habit of our order. They know he or she is one who will heal and give aid. It is an unwritten law that Redwall mice can go anywhere, through any territory, and pass unharmed. At all times we must live up to this. It is our way, our very life. As the abbot spoke, so his voice increased in volume and solemnity. Matthias sat under his stern gaze, completely humbled. Abbot Mortimer stood and put a wrinkled old paw lightly on his small head, right between the velvety ears, now drooping with shame. Once more the abbot's heart softened towards the little mouse. Poor Matthias, alas for your ambitions. The day of the warrior is gone, my son. We live in peaceful times, thank heaven, and you need only think of obeying me, your abbot, and doing as you are bidden. In time to come, when I am long gone to my rest, you will think back to this day and bless my memory, for then you will be a true member of Redwall. Come now, my young friend, cheer up. It is the summer of the late rose. There are many, many days of warm sun ahead of us. Go back and get your basket of hazelnuts. Tonight we have a great feast to celebrate my golden jubilee as abbot. When you've taken the nuts to the kitchen, I have a special task for you. Yes, indeed, I'll need some fine fish for the table. Go get your rod and line and tell Brother Alf that he is to take you fishing on the small boat. That's what young mice like doing, isn't it? Who knows? You may land a fine trout or some sticklebacks. Run along now, young one. Happiness filled Matthias from tail to whiskers as he bobbed a quick bow to his superior and shuffled off. Smiling benignly, the abbot watched him go. Little rascal, he must have a word with the almoner to see if some sandals could be found that were the right size for Matthias. Small wonder the poor mouse kept tripping up. There you go. That's chapter 1. Oh, chapter 2. Let's do chapter 2. It's quick. Okay, so the abbot has said uh, those days of fighting bad guys are over. And and Matthias is sad. But anyway, enter the bad guy. Chapter 2. The high, warm sun shone down on Cluny, the scourge. Cluny was coming. He was big and tough, an evil rat with ragged fur and curved, jagged teeth. He wore a black eye patch. His eye had been torn out in battle with a pike. Cluny had lost an eye. The pike had lost its life. Some said that Cluny was a Portuguese rat. Others said he came from the jungles far across the wide oceans. Nobody really knew for sure. Cluny was a bilge rat, the biggest, most savage rodent that ever jumped from ship to shore. He was black, with the gray and pink scars all over his huge, sleek body, from the tip of his wet nose, up past his green and yellow slitted eye, across both his mean, tattered ears, down the length of his heavy, vermin-ridden back to the enormous, whip-like tail that had earned him his title, Cluny, the Scourge. Now he rode on the back of the hay wagon with his 500 followers, a mighty army of rats, sewer rats, tavern rats, water rats, dockside rats. Cluny's army, fearing yet following him. Redtooth, his second in command, carried a long pole. This was Cluny's personal standard, and the skull of a ferret was fixed on the top. Cluny had killed the ferret. He feared no living thing. Wild-eyed, with the terror of a rat smell in his nostrils, the horse plunged ahead without any driver. Where the hay cart was taking him was of little concern to Cluny. Straight on the panicked horse galloped, past the milestone lodged in the earth at the roadside, heedless of the letters graven in the stone. Redwall Abbey, 15 miles. Cluny spat over the edge of the cart at 2 young rabbits playing in the field. Tasty little things. A pity the cart hadn't stopped yet, he thought. The high, warm sun shone down on Cluny the Scourge. Cluny was a god of war. Cluny was coming nearer. So, there you go. Next time, we'll read chapter 3. Until then.